Hello, students, and welcome to the YouTube channel of Get Set Law by IMS. I'm your verbal ability mentor, Sanjana ma'am, and today let's take a look at some important tips and tricks that can help you perform well in Part B of NLSAT 2026. Right? So, as we already know, we already have Part A and we have Part B. And before I actually delve into helping you, how to frame answers for Part B questions, it's important that you know that Part A is a section that is performance decisive, which means your Part B answers get evaluated only if you qualify the cutoff marks, the benchmark for Part A. Okay, having said that, let me just make it clear at the outset that Part B gets divided into two parts. The first part is a set of 5 questions, each carrying a 12 marks, right? For which you really have to frame answers, the short answer questions, again, based on which you get judged on your legal acumen. And the second part is the essay writing part, which will carry 15 marks. And now let's start to take a look at the first part of Part B, which is the very short legal aptitude reasoning problem based questions. And in case you have a doubt, ma'am, what's the word limit of the answers that we may write? Not more than 300, given the span of time and given how much you know about a topic potentially. I think up to 300 words is fine. This is something you can gauge by taking a look at the sample paper also, which has been recently released for NLSAT 2026. Now, it's very important that we know what is expected of the students by the NLSAT committee. Now, based on my research of the past 2-3 years of the paper, I have come to realize that, there are these important points you need to know, right? Which is that you only have to answer based on the information rendered in the passage, which means you cannot bring in external facts and situations unless you really feel, they fit the bill, which happens in very rare circumstances, right? So answer must be based only on the passage. Important point to keep in mind. Okay, no prior legal knowledge is required. There was this time where they sort of directly mentioned it on the question paper that no prior legal knowledge is required. But hear me out, students. For some reason, I also believe that there is this underlying expectation from the student that the student every day should be well versed with the ongoing legal issues, because let's be honest about the fact that on the day of the examination you get presented with one question and I can just tell you a basic method of answering that question, but how do you elaborate on the question? And that happens only when you are already familiar with the question or a situation of a similar type, the one that is asked in the question, right? So some sort of legal knowledge and understanding of legal concepts is required, although they will not explicitly mention this. Although it's not necessarily the case that you need to have legal knowledge, you will get evaluated more so on the cogency of your arguments. Okay. Another point is, do not quote the law. Very often you will think, okay, I have to talk about Article 21 because this seems like a matter of privacy, right? But, you should always focus on the question and the rule of law that is mentioned in the question, the rules as are stated in the question. So do not quote the law from outside. This is what I mean. Do not quote an external law unless you really want to give an example, provided you are 200% confident that that particular example is simply going to give more color to your answer. Okay. And the most important part is based on which you get evaluated, which is reasoning and logic, how logical you can be with your arguments and how intact your reasoning is. Let's take a look further. The evaluation parameters, right? Strength of reasoning, I already mentioned it in the previous slide. There has to be logical consistency. Very often when I have to take a particular side, either for something or against something, we tend to create very paradoxical situations also, where even though we feel that, okay, I can just give one argument to support a cause, but then all of a sudden, I sort of just go back on my own words, right? So this happens especially when you're feeling very flustered and very nervous. So ensure that there is logical consistency, that is a very good sequence to your argument, because it should be very clear, it should be concise at the same time. The passage you're writing, it shouldn't look scattered or haywire, right? So ensure that the conclusion is really clear, right? And support your conclusion with reasons. Reasons should be logical, right? Reasons should be logical, and support your conclusion using facts from the passage, okay? Now, that is not to say that you have to repeat the information that is given in the passage. Very often, when you feel, okay, I I'm not able to use more words. I'm just going to copy paste the situation, the facts given in the passage. No, that doesn't give you any extra marks. If anything, the invigilator or the professors who are going to evaluate our answers, they might just feel that it's, not really very substantive as far as the quality of the answer is concerned. Okay, so conclusion has to be clear. Now, all of this is fine so far, but you will have a question, ma'am, how do I really write my answer? Because I have very scattered thoughts in my mind when I read a particular question. So what you can do is, and that is not to say that you have to follow this rule necessarily on the day of the exam, but let's just say that, starting today, you start to prepare for questions of this nature, then you can follow the IRAC technique, okay, which stands for Issue Rule Analysis Conclusion. This technique only helps you structure your answer, okay, because then your answer looks neat. You're able to communicate your ideas effectively to the other party, right? So the structure is something which should look good as well. And it helps you think more clearly is what I feel. You will not panic so much and your thoughts will not flow in sort of every direction here. Okay, let's take a rule. Let's take a look at what issue stands for. So identify the key question. Okay, so a question would be given towards the end, or the main issue, the issue that needs to be addressed by you. So identify the key question properly. Even when you're reading the passage, think a little deeper and think, why is this question or issue arising in the first place? If everything looks fine, right, an issue shouldn't be there or a question shouldn't come, but a question is existing, an issue is existing, which means there is already a flaw somewhere or a loophole which you need to address. Okay, so identify it properly. Okay, and then, because every question has to stem from an application of a rule, right? For example, case in point, take a look at NLSAT 2026 sample paper, sample problem 2 for part B. There we have defined what manufacturing is, and towards the end you have to check if manufacturing applies in a certain case. So extract the rule from the passage. Now when you're trying to extract the rule from the passage, please again do not bring in external scenarios or facts. Just break down the rule into bite-sized pieces for you to understand. Okay, and then see if the rule is applicable to the current facts as have been mentioned or stated in the passage. Okay, and finally you can state the conclusion, support your conclusion properly, that this is the reason, right? So provide sufficient reasons, and if you want you can provide a counter argument as well, and it will happen automatically when you start to practice writing more such answers. So this is only helpful as far as the structuring part is concerned. Now you might have a question, ma'am, I understand the structure is fine. Where do I bring in more information? Now, naturally speaking, you can't just not prepare and expect yourself to do well on the day of the exam. You need to be reading a lot about ongoing legal issues. Okay. Now, some pro tips that you can find helpful is keep your language simple and clear. You don't have to use any bombastic words. No need to fancify the language. No need. However, I feel, for example, if you read regularly from Live Law and Bar and Bench or just ongoing legal cases, you'll understand. I'll give you a situation. Suppose we're talking about negligence. Then, duty of care is a very popular, thing that you get to read in such cases of negligence. So if a passage is pretty much based on negligence, then you can use some legal jargons because it shows that you are aware of some important legal jargons and terminologies, right? So when I talk about keeping language simple and clear, that means you don't have to use, redundantly or unnecessarily florid words here. However, if you feel that you're confident that you can use a certain legal jargon or a terminology, it, I think, would add a little more, I'd say, color or diversity to the answer. And if you really want to elaborate on the length, because that is one point, one question, one issue you will face, then you can argue by analogies or use relevant examples. When I say relevant examples, focus more on analogy. Now, suppose if I say that, social media is responsible for, providing harmful content on its platform. Then if you really have to agree with this statement, you can use an argument by analogy. In this case, you can say, just as a shopkeeper, just as a shopkeeper is responsible for providing a defective product to the consumer, the same way social media is also responsible for providing harmful content on its platform. So argue by analogies. Analogies should be very relevant. They should be very logical, right? Again, it shouldn't be something you simply build in a vacuum. Use facts as mentioned in the passage, but that doesn't mean you have to copy paste it or you have to repeat it, because then obviously they will get an understanding that you don't have much knowledge about the passage or your answer. Okay, so keep in mind that some important points that you don't have to include in your answers, and it bears repetition. Again, no fancy language, no contradictions or paradoxes. I know I have sort of touched on this point previously also, but when you're not quite clear in your mind about the side you want to take, either for something or against something, you are more likely to sound very paradoxical in your arguments. You might take one side, but then again you might go back on it, right? No moral opinions also. A particular situation might be given to you and you might become really emotional about the topic, so you don't really have to do that. Okay, so please be a little more, I'd say, diplomatic. Do not become very emotional. Do not use terms in first person, I'd suggest. Do not use very strong adjectives also. Be very clear, concise and balanced in your writing. No outside legal knowledge. This is for students who might feel that they have to deliberately talk about outside legal knowledge. But if you feel you're really confident about a legal case, right, then only you can use it. But this is only in very rare, very, very rare situations, right? So this is another thing. Now, another thing that you need to keep in mind is that, for NLSAT Part B, the questions, the passages that you get asked are pretty much a simulation of ongoing legal issues, which again brings me back to the same point that somewhere down the line, it is expected of you to be reading or to be, abreast of these ongoing legal issues for you to be able to frame, really good answer choices here. And the last minute revision checklist is read the passage twice. If you want, you can read it multiple times, okay? In fact, reading it multiple times will give you a clearer understanding of the problem. Identify the issue clearly. Identify what is it that needs to be asked. This is pretty much applicable for RC critical reasoning questions as well, right? And extract the rule only from the passage. Now, if the passage talks about manufacturing, case in point is sample problem 2 from NLSAT sample paper 2026 part B, right? You can't really talk about the manufacturing process the way it exists, okay? Just focus on what the passage tells you about manufacturing process. Again, be logical, do not deviate, and conclusion has to be very clear. Now, next up is a sample problem that I've extracted, and this is not so old. I think it's from a 2022-2023 sample paper. Now, just take 1 minute to read the problem, and then I'll tell you exactly how you can sort of, just elaborate on your answers. Now that you're done reading, there are some really important points you need to highlight, right? So one thing is that obviously Sandeep has been on a holiday in a remote island. Now it's a government imposed ban, okay, on interstate travel and restrictions on public movement in response to COVID-19. So the ban is government imposed, okay? And at the same time, the hotel management has been vigilant enough to put signs throughout the hotel. And it has stated that wearing masks was compulsory for all guests and staff whenever they were outside the rooms. Some guests, however, they acted as per their volition. They refused to wear masks, right? And the hotel management, however, at its end is trying to do everything to prevent, the disease from spreading. Simply put, okay? But again, and now Sandeep has a problem. He wants compensation from the hotel management, claiming that he contracted the illness because the hotel management did not enforce the rule about wearing masks strictly. Just keep in mind that this is the problem, okay? This in itself seems a bit flawed, right? He wants compensation from the hotel management, and his grounds for asking so is that he contracted the illness because the hotel management did not enforce the rule about wearing masks quickly. So you can sort of understand what enforcement of a rule means. You need to have some understanding of it. But do you really think the hotel management wasn't careful, wasn't vigilant enough to sort of just warn, the people there, the guests there, that you have to wear masks all the time. It had put up signs throughout the hotel, right? So it's a very reasonable thing to do. Again, I'm using the word reasonable here, right? As a result of which, guests who moved about without masks did have the illness, infected Sandeep. Now, here the hotel management defended themselves by saying that Sandeep should ask for compensation from the other guests, since he most likely contracted the illness as a result of the other people moving around without masks. Question is very simple. Will Sandeep succeed? You just have to focus on this part, the part where he is claiming compensation from the hotel management, right? So focus on this part, and accordingly you can formulate the answer. Now, a lot of students will really become a bit more detailed about it, but often in the wrong ways. They think that this also has a lot to do with the compensation that Sandeep is claiming. That's the defense of the hotel management. But question is clear. Will Sandeep succeed? Most likely no, because the hotel management was already vigilant. Second, it was a government enforced ban, right? So these are some of the pointers you can sort of just add to make your argument seem more compelling. Okay, so if you want, you can just keep on practicing this, and whosoever you're studying from, you should definitely be consulting with your mentors also, right? As many problems as you can, right? And perhaps just get a review or a thorough analysis done for your answers. Now, we'll come to the second part of part B, which is the long answer, essay writing. Now, most important of all is to be able to take 5 minutes out from the time you want to devote to the essay writing question and figure out a suitable outline for what you want to write. Okay, so there has to be an introduction, there has to be a conclusion. In between, we will have body paragraphs. So, in your introduction, you present your thesis, right? And then the body paragraphs is point clearly state your argument. Ultimately, what you believe in, what you don't believe in. And then obviously you have to back it with a lot of examples also, relevant examples at that. Now, whatever examples you're going to cite, be very confident about them. Confident in the sense that you should know that those examples are actually facts, they're true, right? Do not get very emotional about the topic here as well, right? Otherwise, it sounds very extreme and not so substantive. And counter argument. Why I keep on emphasizing on counter argument is, and you should know this, the day you start using a lot of counter arguments is something which indicates that you know a great deal about the topic. And then the conclusion. So in the conclusion, do not sort of copy paste everything that you have mentioned. Give a very quick summary of your ultimate analysis of the topic. However, in a paraphrased manner. Do not copy paste the words, because then it seems really redundant, and reinforce your thesis. So this is the outline or the structure of the essay. Now, some important points, write clearly and concisely. The word limit does not have to exceed 500 words. Develop your argument. Ensure logical structure. Again, logical structure means ensure that there is a proper structure. You can't write the conclusion in the beginning all the time, or you can't start with a counter argument, right? So use objective and neutral language. Do not use very extreme words, extreme adjectives. Whatever you're trying to say, try and substantiate it with an example and analogy. And revise and proofread at the end, and practice regularly, because I believe part B of NLSAT, 75% is possible if you start writing answers for it every day. You can't just know a lot about the topic and expect yourself to write fabulous answers without picking up your pen and practicing. So practicing is really important, and start reading as much as you can about the ongoing legal issues, right? Because you never know, they might again frame questions based on the ongoing legal issues. So that was it for this session. If you appreciate this, and if you want me to do an analysis of part A, how to prepare for RCs and CR, please let me know in the comment section below. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day.